Well, this morning we are here with Dillon Meek, not only a good friend of mine, but also, influencer in Waco, as I'd like to say. Well, hey, man, thanks for jumping on with us.
Yeah, thrilled to be here, man.
Thanks for coming on. Wanted to bring Dillon on. As you know, we're trying to bring in people that are influencers or business owners, CEOs, and Dillon, you kind of got your hands in. Seems like dang near everything for the most part. But yeah, so Dillon's, are you from Waco? Not from Waco? Where you
I
from?
grew up in a small town outside of Victoria, Texas.
Okay.
So grew up there, came to Baylor for undergrad many years ago and have been here ever since.
Yeah. Waco's like a hole. I just feel like once you come, it is hard to leave.
Yeah.
I think I've heard that story multiple times.
Yeah, it definitely, I think, and it's getting more magnetic for sure, but definitely went to Baylor for undergrad and law school, got a job here afterwards. I was being from a smaller town, didn't have withdrawals to go to a larger city, but liked the centrality of Waco. And also even then was like, man, this city could really go somewhere, is going somewhere, and is really special. And so jumped in at that time and have really enjoyed being here since.
So what year was it when you moved to Waco?
2003. So I've been here for over 20 years.
Wow.
Graduated from high school in 2003. We were just talking about that. Turned the big 4-0 this year.
It's crazy. Wow. 2003. I mean, so I'm also from Waco.
Yeah.
And so we grew up on literally South 8th Street, and Waco was nothing.
Yeah.
We had this old guy. We named him Pops. He literally slept on our couch. But that was like all of downtown Waco at 03. For me, I think that was probably somewhere around 03 is when we lived on 8th Street.
What was your cross street?
Man, we were 8th and, was that Clay? It's right by the barbecue joint.
Oh, like Pop's barbecue joint.
Is that Pop's barbecue joint?
Yeah, like over there, like kind of near the backyard now.
Right. Yes, that's exactly where it was. Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
So do you know
that house is probably worth a lot of money now.
They bulldozed it. It was like, so like we lived there. I mean, you couldn't give that house away.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, but that was 2000.
It was a different world.
Today you've got the two townhouses. You got Fitzgerald built a little house, a little condo, and then there's the, forget what the other one is.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, there's so many of those like Airbnbs have popped up over there, and it's such a beautiful neighborhood. And it is wild how different that part of town is.
It's like 03. So a little backstory on Dillon. You came to Waco in 03.
Yep.
I mean, when you came to Waco, it was clearly there wasn't. You had Baylor.
Yeah.
Magnolia wasn't here.
No. And I do think that at the time, Waco's downtown. I've always liked history, and so seeing the just the cityscape and the historical buildings was always interesting to me and really neat. But I do think that it's just been really cool to see the transformation and the growth. It's been fun to see Waco really just continue to blossom.
Crazy. So 2003, moved here, stayed. Yep. Met your wife here.
Yep.
Okay, so y'all both went to Baylor.
Yeah, we met at Baylor and got married a few years after Baylor, but met here at Baylor. Started dating actually after Baylor, but got married a few years after as well.
Okay, and she was willing to stay in Waco as well, or
she went back to Austin for a couple years, and then when we got serious, she moved back.
Okay. Yep. So Waco became home.
Yep. So we've been here. We have 3 kiddos and are raising them all here, and wow. It's a great spot. We love it.
Awesome. Not going anywhere.
Yeah, I think Waco's secret sauce is the people. I do think that the growth has been fun to see. I think diversification in restaurants and retail and some culture that is different than it was. And I think, Waco's strengths have always included those things, but I love the old Waco restaurants. I love the old Waco cultural aspects, but it's been fun to see new stuff come online too. Yeah. But really what's awesome about Waco is just the people. And that's when people move here from other cities. If you can find that right crew to run with, you're like, man, this is special.
Yes.
I think the size of Waco plays into that too, because you can get from, go hang out with different people pretty easily because it's not far to get across town.
Right.
But even in just certain pockets and neighborhoods, you got these great communities of people just living it life on life. And it's a special place.
You've got, so in Waco, we have 200 and 250,000.
The MSA is about 250.
250.
City of Waco is about 140.
140, and then in 2003, do you remember what Waco was?
Yeah, the population has definitely grown. I think that I don't remember what the population was then, but we've seen some significant population growths over the years. I think that, what has been exciting about Waco too is just seeing the job market change and grow. There's a lot. I know inflation and housing costs have impacted families here, but there is a lot more economic opportunity and economic mobility and opportunity for financial security for families that wasn't here when I moved here. And I was riding coattails. There's some amazing families and amazing leaders who worked really, really hard to get Waco in a position to really be healthy and good.
Yeah. Speaking of leaders, so Dillon, you played a role as city mayor as up until, was it last year?
It was May of this year.
May of this year.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that being said, you talk about like leaders in Waco. Let's see your story moving in. So you went to school for law. Like what kind of drove your passion for leadership? Because again, what made you want to run for mayor? Talk about growth in Waco. You obviously had a lot to do with that. What was some of the like thought process behind you running for mayor, and also business owner? I mean, you're juggling lots of things with that. So I mean, what did that
juggling
look like?
it well? I was not looking to run for office at all. I was not planning on that. I was not looking to run for mayor or any office. That was not something I was looking to do. But there was an open seat, an incumbent wasn't running for city council, and was talking to some friends about the possibility. And really, it was in this moment in time, it was in 2015 when Waco's was really starting to, I think, have this kind of moment. And I was talking to someone about it the other day, and I don't know if I'm even misremembering that moment or being overly nostalgic for it, but it really did feel, and it might have just been my age or the part of town I was in, but it really felt like Waco was finding this like entrepreneurial pioneer spirit of like, let's go do something. This is a city that's worth fighting for, that is worth doing cool things in. And I think that spirit has always been in Waco. And that's not to say that the people immediately before that didn't do great work and feel the same way, but it was this kind of entrepreneurial spirit that really was like, man, let's do something great here in this town. And Magnolia was finding it like kind of starting to take off, and the economy was really growing here, and jobs were coming here, and downtown was really starting to transform. And so this incumbent in the city council seat wasn't running for office, and so kind of was just not even fully knowing exactly what I was jumping into. Jumped in, ran for city council, and won, and got to serve on city council, and really grew to like it. And both city council and mayorship were two jobs where I'd say it felt as much like a ministry calling as it did like some sort of it. I really would like to believe there wasn't ambition associated with it. It really was just like, man, I feel called to this.
That's awesome.
I feel called to serve. Some people know, some people don't. You get a small stipend when you're on city council. Back then it was even less. And so it's a financial sacrifice for the men and women who serve on city council right now. They're making a financial sacrifice to do it. It's a lot of fun, but for me, it always felt like a ministry calling to serve our city and try to deploy some of the gifts I had to help Waco grow.
Yeah, you almost have to. I mean, it's like you're not living off of that by any means. So you truly have to have like a passion for it. And
the Lord was good and gave me ways to be able to support my family, but it's still not. You're not like, that's not the number one goal if you're doing that.
Right, because that requires, so much of your time. I mean, dang near every decision that comes to the city of Waco is put in front of you.
We got the way that it's set up is the city manager is really the operator and leader of the business of the city. The mayor is kind of like the chair of the board, but no, it's incredibly time consuming when you're in mayorship. It was definitely busy, but so much fun. And we brought how I finished. It's fun about God's timing because I didn't feel like I hit burnout on it. Mm-hmm. Some people might have been burnt out with me in that role, but I didn't feel like I just wasn't burnt out yet. But I didn't miss it when I was done either. There weren't these like withdrawals to be like, man, I poured myself into this for all these years. I was kind of wondering, like, am I going to feel able to just release this? And that was not hard. And so I do feel like God was kind in that, and
He led it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you saw a need for it, and that's it almost like it kind of just fell into place. It wasn't like you were searching it out, which
very much so
is
very much so. Did not ever think I would run for public office, and doubt I will again. I mean, I think that it was a moment in time, and I loved it, but
for a season, so it sounds like you kind of saw a need for it. I mean, it's just to step in and have some leadership there. It fell into your lap, and then so in that time, like, what were some of the challenges? Like, I mean, because you weren't. I mean, it sounds like leadership was kind of your background, right? I mean, it seems like, is that just a quality that you've got stepped into? You kind of train yourself in?
I think you do. When you're in a role like that, it's a bit of a crash course in leadership. You do have to kind of learn it. I think in hindsight, I look back and I'm like, man, there's some things I could have done different or would have done different. And I think that's true in any season of our lives where we look back on a season or a job and you're like, oh man, if I could do that over again, there'd be things I'd pick up and do differently. What I loved about it was we had such a great team, and I had the wisdom of our former mayor, Kyle Daver, I could call on him. We had a great city council. Our current mayor, Jim Holmes, is doing an amazing job doing that. And I just have a really great team of people. Our city manager, Bradley Ford, is a close friend and phenomenal city manager. And I was a part of a really great team.
It was
that made that work really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. So are you still fairly involved, or is that just kind of, you were able to?
Yeah. I talked to the current council members and mayor on occasion and check in with them, and they'll get a call and what's the backstory on this, but all very close friends and people that I consider family. Yeah. And so feel very blessed from that perspective on it.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. So what were some of the more rewarding times in office? Like, so you look back today and you're like, man, this was something I was super proud to be a part of, like memorable moments in growth or. Yeah.
I think that what immediately comes, like, you're probably like aiming for, and I can go through some cool projects that we were able to accomplish. But man, what I love, like, the city of Waco is not perfect. No institution is. There are 1,800 employees that work for a 175-year-old large organization, government organization. And so, like, it ain't perfect. But what I will tell you is the men and women that work for the city of Waco, by and large, are working really, really hard to be excellent at what they do, to improve the lives of the citizens of this community, and work with high character and high class. And getting to see our city employees, from janitorial staff to trash collectors to people doing really big, sophisticated infrastructure or park projects. I mean, it's a dream team of people who deeply care about the city they live in. And that was very rewarding to me. That was very rewarding to get to be a part of that team, and had a lot of fun doing it. I think that the other thing that was really fun was, again, we did see a lot of jobs enter the market. There's about 500 jobs since right before I was mayor to when I was done, of new good paying jobs come in to the economy that provides economic opportunity to families that need economic opportunity. And I think that downtown is really moving in the right direction. Was able to work hard to get some solid hotels, some solid restaurants, some solid retail down there. The riverfront is really coming together. The Foster Pavilion was a passion project of getting that to come into downtown Waco. I think that was a big success and win. We put a lot of money into our streets. When I rolled onto council, this was already in motion, so I don't get credit for it. But when I rolled onto council, we were putting about $2.5 to $3 million per year on streets, and when I left, we were putting in about $35 million to streets. And if you've been on a Waco street, they need work.
Waco, yes.
There was a season of time when the construction was just crazy.
Yep.
and
I-35. I mean,
and even in town, it was needed, and it'd be funny because we'd go to dinner and someone would say, "Hey, when are you going to fix these streets? These streets have all these potholes." And
like it's up to you just to.
And then the next person though would be like, "Hey, when are you going to slow down this construction? There's this whole town's torn up with construction." Like, it's one or the other. We got to do. So it's a balancing act for sure.
So how do you control? Like, I mean, so Waco, we're right in the middle of Dallas and Austin, obviously. So you've got two massive cities, Dallas, Austin, and even again, we talked about the growth in Waco. When I grew up, you got here in 2003, there was nothing here. And we've seen the infrastructure grow over the years. Like, how do you prepare? I mean, like, how do you carry that weight in office when everything's growing? I know, like, with our construction company, even electrical, it's like getting permits pulled. Like, we're seeing quicker turnarounds than we saw before. I think that's a big one is the infrastructure in Waco wasn't ready for it. So, like, what did you guys do to prepare and, like, brace for the growth?
And I don't know those. I think that, again, there's a bunch of people in City Hall that are working really hard to solve for that problem right now. It's just this. It is. You know, you're always trying to keep ahead of the game, but again, it's a challenge. So I do think anticipating growth and preparing for that is something that every department is thinking that way. I'm one of the, like, from public works and roads and streets to like development services and, like, what you were talking about, inspections and permitting. And there's things that I think are going right, and there's some areas probably where it needs to be like, okay, we need to relook at this. But I think that, water planning has been one where, I think this kind of is another example of, like, man, the citizens of this community should take heart that there's so much intentionality around this, because our, water department team is really committed to ensuring we have an ample water supply for the next several generations, and coming up with a 100-year plan on what do we need to do to protect, increase, conserve water, conserve supply, increase supply, conserve water, so that we're thinking with a forward-minded growth mentality and aren't going to get in a situation where we're having to solve for major water issues. And so anytime you're doing something like this, like the work of a city, you have to have a strategic mind, and you have to have long-term lenses that you're looking through and thinking through what's the impact of doing this now, 20, 50, 100 years from now, because again, the city's 175 years old, and you gotta function as though, like, what you're doing now has impact in the long term.
That's right. Yeah. And we see it too. So Waco, like, I mean, just from like an inspection perspective, you see Waco really trying to do a good job of being ahead of the curve. It's like you call for an inspection, and it's like, clearly infrastructure is growing really quickly. But even, the city bringing in third-party inspectors from other places to be able to keep up with what we have, know. And so it seems like the city's doing everything they can to keep up with the growth, because it's growing quickly.
I do think they are working really hard to achieve that goal.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
Where do you see Waco in a few years? I mean, you've got tons of development, the Brazos. I mean,
I think downtown is going to look
there
totally different. I think downtown Waco in 10 years, 20 years is going to be almost unrecognizable in a good way, because there are a lot of just empty parking lots. There's a lot of empty space that needs to be filled in. I'm a big believer in having a bustling, thriving downtown, and I think that there's going to be what I love about the people that are really on the private side and on the public side that are working hard towards this. There's a real commitment to preserving Waco's value set and its character in a positive way, and saying, like, how do we stay Waco? Like, we don't want to become, we want to maintain the good qualities of this city. We don't want to go in a different direction and in a negative way. But at the same time, like, how do we also grow and have some positive growth opportunities here? So I think that's kind of one of the things that we're looking to do, and I think people are being really thoughtful about that.
Yeah. You see it. It is neat. It is neat. I mean, Waco's brought in just some fun things. You talk about the infrastructure and the growth of downtown Waco. Hotel Herringbone, new and completely different to Waco. Mm-hmm. So it's neat to see stuff like that. That you would never expect to see in the Waco area. Definitely not in 2003.
No, it's great to see places like that, and I think at the same time we can maintain the values and the character of the city. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah. You say good people in Waco. Waco really is. I mean, they're like the diversity and the culture and people starting the entrepreneurship, the businesses, Startup Waco, all the different things that are happening. It is super cool.
Yep. Agreed.
Like lots of opportunity for people wanting to do things here.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely, man.
So speaking of opportunity, so you jumped into own a title office. How was that transition? Is that something you had prior to office?
I was working there when I was working there when I was in the mayorship role, and it was again just a really cool job where I was able to add value to the company while I was serving as mayor, and and then the previous owner was looking to sell some of it, so kind of evaluated the opportunity, and I'm excited to be a part of that. I love real estate. Hopefully at some point there'll be an opportunity to do some real estate development, but I'm loving what I'm getting to do right now and the people I get to work with, and just excited for God to keep revealing what's on the journey.
Man, if someone wanted advice for, hey, what does it look like to jump into city council, wanted to run for city council, like what advice would you give them?
And I think that one, like really make sure you got a team of people around you. A lot of times the first thing is you got to get elected, and that always takes a lot of work, and it takes you need to have a lot of support network around you. I think that it's worthwhile to really ask yourself, why am I doing this? Is it from a place of service, or is it from a place of something else? And it's going to be hard if it's not from a place of service, because you get bombarded.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if anybody's seen Parks and Rec, but it's a lot like Parks and Rec, and you get bombarded with a lot of questions and concerns from different folks, and you're not getting paid. And so I think it's worthwhile to just really examine your heart and be like, what am I doing this for? And hear from the Lord on that. And and then I think just again, kind of going back, a similar thing is just have that team of people around you to be prepared to not only support you, but give you advice and counsel and wisdom.
Yeah. Well, you got to enjoy it. I mean, because
and you got to love it.
There's not a. I mean, it's like you truly have to care about serving.
Yes,
it's a servant's heart,
and care about it is fun though. Like you do get to be a part of strategic, thoughtful decisions about how to improve the lives of people in Waco. Like that's fun stuff to talk about. And if you enjoy that, then I think you do press into it and see if it's something that you'd want to do. Yeah, it's good.
What's some of the things, so as you look at a growing city, what are some of the challenges, obviously, that growing cities
I think
face? We
kind of hit on this a little bit, but personnel is, I think, for city staff members is hard because it's growing, and so you're having to keep up both with wages and size of staff. Infrastructure is a big part of it, streets and water. We kind of hit on that a little bit to make sure that you're able to kind of absorb the growth. I think that... I think that just, again, kind of hit on this too, but making sure that we do as a community, preserve the good aspects of our culture as Waco's growing and changing. What do we love about what Waco is, and really kind of putting words to that and fighting to keep
Waco.
And,
right.
And that's, easy to throw that out there. I don't know how you actually do that, but I think it's it's worthwhile to pursue that for sure.
Yeah. What keeps you up at night?
I've got a 5-month-old, so she's actually been sleeping really good though. Man, when you're a small business owner, there's definitely in the real estate industry, in a volatile. The market's been slower with rates going up and stuff the last few months, and so always just praying for trust and peace for our businesses. And,
Yeah.
But
that's a big one. Yeah.
But man, I think it's been, it's funny how even serving mayor was definitely a stretching exercise, and learned a lot about trusting God and not being anxious. I think that scripture is so interesting that says like, don't be anxious.
Yeah.
It's like a funny command, because you're like, well, I can't help it if I'm anxious.
I'm anxious about being anxious. Yeah.
And I think that it's just such a great, opportunity to partner with God, to be like, Lord, like, help me not be anxious over business or city stuff. Or when I was in the mayorship role, things that were going on at the city that would naturally be anxious about, just it is a daily decision. I'm going to lay this down. I'm going to rest in peace and operate from that space. And so the Bible talks about, if he's to feed the birds of the sky, how much more does he care about you? Yeah. But it's hard to see that. Oh, even as a small business owner, like, waking up going, all right, man, like Lord, what's the next year look like? Or do we have the work for our employees? Or what's our pipeline, or whatever it is? And just trusting him and knowing that he's faithful, because he is faithful. That's right. And he's proven himself over and over, and we're so blessed. But definitely have to struggle through that for sure. Yeah.
What do you do for fun?
Man, I got an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old and a 5-month-old. So we're doing a lot of family stuff these days. Yeah. But I love, it's funny because I had to submit a bio the other day. Yeah. And it was like, I love college his hobbies are college football, hunting, and fishing. I'm like, man, I haven't done most of that in a long time because of kids, business. But I love all of those things I just listed. I took my son deer hunting for the first time over Thanksgiving. That was a blast. But dude, the most thing I do for fun is hang out with my wife and kiddos, and then also live on a great street with some buddies. And so families hanging out and gathering, or sitting on the porch with a couple couples, or my wife or some buddies, is always a fun thing to do too. Yeah, that's fun. Last question. What is a book that you would refer to someone? Dude, what books have hit home for you? What would you encourage for others to read? I really love this book called The Hiding Place by Corrie ten Boom. Yes, that's a good one. It is a book about a lady who lives in Haarlem in the Netherlands in World War II. Yep. And her family gets sent to Nazi concentration camps because they were hiding Jewish people during the Holocaust. And it's a real amazing picture of being brave and doing what's right. And trusting the Lord. And so it's it reads like an adventure fiction novel. It's really well written, but it's just a really powerful autobiography. It's a really powerful true story. It's great. It's a great one. Faithfulness, peaceful, just do the right thing. Be thankful with where you're at. Yeah. I think that it's one of my daughter's favorite movies is Frozen. And Frozen 2, and there's a song in Frozen 2. It's just like, just do the next right thing. Like, what's the next right thing in front of you, and just take that step. And that book, it just like, I don't know, that's what this family did. And they're like, we're going to do the next right thing. And I think that regardless of the consequences, if we can do that, then you're not willing to compromise your standards. Don't compromise. So where can people find you? You got your title office? Title office, Cromwell. First title company of Waco at New Road and Waco Drive. And then Cromwell offices at Triangle Tower. So right there, share a parking lot with each other. Man. You're always on the move. Just moving. Cool, man. Well, thanks for coming on. Hey, I love being here, man. Thanks for having me. It's so good getting to chat with you. Thanks, dude. Man. So fun.